Jai Shri Ramachandra, Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha. So now I shall explain the danger to the world for 2019 November to 2020 April. I had made a video in the last 2 months. It was in April 2019 and this April. And in my video I had clearly explained that there will be tension and trouble to the nations from the northwest of India, and the immediate nation after Pakistan, after the northwest of India, is Iran. And we have seen that Iran has been in major tension during the last 2 months exactly. That is June and July. Iran has been badly, in big tension. And in the current month of August, also Iran has been in real trouble. So in the same way, various other countries like Pakistan, which is also towards the northwest, has been in trouble. Afghanistan also, which is towards the northwest, has been in trouble with the terrorists and the invaders over there. So now I shall continue proving that there is going to be a lot of danger for the world from November 2019 to April 2020. In this, maybe the war with Iran would begin, and also the war, Indo-Pak war, may also begin, since both tensions are rising. And let me explain how this works. So this year 2019 March end or April beginning to 2020, because Vedic years always begin with April beginning or March end. So when I mean 2019, I mean the period from 2019 to 2020, from the March time. So it is from March that basically Iran has got into high level tension with the US. And that is basically because Shani is the Vashadipati. That means the starting day of the lunar year is Shani. And Shani is in Sagittarius with Ketu. And the lord of the sign is Jupiter, who is also in major problems. And therefore we have to be very careful of this conjunction. And Shani represents Iran according to the Brihad Samhita, and Iran has been clearly mentioned as Shani's country.
Artillery shells have just dropped on a village in Pakistan-administered Kashmir as cross-border fighting intensifies. Pakistan's military says India fired first, forcing it to respond. But Indian officials have a competing narrative. They say Pakistan fired a barrage of mortars along the line of control after Indian soldiers foiled their attempt to cross the de facto border. There's been deaths and injuries on both sides. In Indian-administered Kashmir, people say there was panic when shelling started on Friday morning and continued late into the evening.
Many
civilians have been injured. Those seriously hurt have been moved to the district hospital. The less seriously injured are undergoing treatment elsewhere.
Some of the injured say they're worried this has the potential to escalate into a full-scale conflict.
I'm asking the government to stop firing at the border. People are very frightened. They're scared if this continues, there will be huge damage.
Kashmir is claimed by India and Pakistan. Each have controlled part of the region since the end of British rule and the partition of India in 1947. Tensions increased in February last year after dozens of Indian paramilitary forces were killed in an attack New Delhi blamed on Pakistan-backed fighters. Pakistan has summoned a senior Indian diplomat to protest what it calls India's latest violation of a 2003 ceasefire agreement, an accusation India denies. Unless the two countries engage in meaningful discussion, Kashmiri families will continue to suffer on either side of the disputed border. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera.
Good evening. The world is on edge tonight after Iran made good on its promise, launching a revenge attack on the United States following the death of its top military leader. The country firing a series of strikes on 2 military bases in Iraq full of US troops.
Ballistic missiles leaving Iran bound for neighbouring Iraq. And in Iraq, the result. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard launched the attack on 2 bases hosting US and coalition forces, the Ain Assad base west of Baghdad and another at Erbil in Iraq's north. The Pentagon says it's conducting initial battle damage assessments. The Ain Assad air base is the same one President Trump made a surprise visit to on Christmas Day in 2018, his first to a combat zone.
Well, first of all, at ease. Let's have a good time.
Hours before the attack, this warning from Iran's foreign minister.
The United States took an act of war against Iran. It will have to be prepared for the consequences. Arrogance and ignorance, when combined, it's disaster.
And also before the attack, President Trump talking tough.
We're prepared. We're totally prepared. And likewise, we're prepared to attack if we have to, as retribution.
The rocket attack was direct retaliation for the US drone strike assassination of leading Iranian general Qasem Soleimani. Iran's foreign minister tweeted, Iran took and concluded proportionate measures in self-defense. The US president won't address his nation until the morning, but replied, all is well, so far, so good. We have the most powerful and well-equipped military anywhere in the world by far. And in response to Donald Trump's tweet of an American flag after the killing of Soleimani, today trolled with a flag in return by a senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader.
It's into the sign of Sagittarius, and that too, the sign of Sagittarius will be transited on 4th November, when gold prices will see a big hike. I had also predicted the gold price rising back in early July. So even now I believe that is absolutely true, and gold prices will rise very powerfully with silver prices and various other commodities like natural gas and oil, petroleum and diesel. Everything will rise powerfully because of this. So What would be next would be the next question. Mars and Saturn come into the infamous conjunction that they are always noted for as very dangerous. Mars and Saturn, the close conjunction begins at 31st March, 4:30 p.m. and the whole world will be rocked with disaster and wars may begin at this moment. And before this also there is going to be a lot of tension throughout the months, and when Mars and Saturn get conjunct, we'll have something like Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, bomb blasts and whatnot, dangers, etc. will happen. And economic disasters will happen.
The coronavirus pandemic is putting an end to the longest economic expansion in U.S. history.
We are going into a global recession.
We're in an economic downturn.
The world is now in recession.
Recession in the next quarter or two because everything is shutting down.
This is an extraordinary disruption. It's almost like a meteor hit the entire planet, and we have to now deal with the fact that we've been knocked off our axis.
The Federal Reserve and Congress are taking extraordinary steps to try to keep the economy afloat. Still, economists warn this recession will be unlike other downturns in recent history because it was spawned by a health crisis, not by an unhealthy economy.
We may well be in a recession, but again, I would point to the difference between this and a normal recession. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with our economy.
So why is the coronavirus pandemic causing a recession? And how long will it last?
And Air India, the aeroplane industry, automobile industry and motorcycle industries will suffer severely during this time because Sagittarius is the sign of the horse. So the ancient horse means today's transport. So today's transport is going to be badly affected, and economically the transport system and the companies that create machines for transport will get affected, especially government-related companies for transport, and more so likely aeroplanes.
American Airlines flight attendant Philip Delhunty will be out of a job, furloughed on Thursday.
We got the furlough notice. It was devastating for everybody.
American started the year as the world's largest airline with about 140,000 employees. COVID has devastated its business. When the government's payroll support program runs out next week, American will be 30% smaller. Overnight, 19,000 will lose their jobs and 15 cities will lose air service. CEO Doug Parker.
I just can't believe that we may not be able to do the right thing simply because our elected officials can't come to any sort of compromise agreement. We're better than that.
In a show of unity outside the Capitol this week, airline CEOs, union leaders, and employees pleaded with Congress for another $25 billion in payroll support to halt as many as 76,000 furloughs and layoffs through at least March.
This is real people moving their stuff into their cars and trying to figure out how to survive.
Along with this, the India versus Pakistan would be more quick. The problem currently would escalate very quickly, and along with that, there's going to be a lot of danger to gold. And the reason why I had actually predicted China and North Korea and the Pakistan, India, and China problem back in June and July. So I shall also paste the link in this video. So how I predicted it was the 16th and 17th of July, which were lunar eclipses. So in the midnight there was one lunar eclipse. So because of this one lunar eclipse falling in the month of Ashara, and along with that in an asterism, that is Purvashara, Uttarashara, so both the asterisms, the twin Asharas, and that was a sort of wolf red moon. It's a very bad moon because the eclipse happened exactly in the sign of Sagittarius. How? Basically that is what means eclipse. Eclipse has a lot of deep coded information inside it, and only astrologers who have studied it well can understand that coded information, and it's very interesting too. So how did Moon enter the exact sign of Sagittarius and stage an eclipse exactly there in the month of July? And that exactly is what has caused the tension in China. So China will be badly affected. According to Brihat Samhita of Varahamira clearly says that an eclipse in the month of Ashadha and coinciding with the nakshatras mentioned and the Rashi of Sagittarius will surely affect both the northwest directions from the center point of India taken as Ujjain and the northeast direction along with the main country being China. So these countries will be perfectly affected, and that is what has happened. North Korea and Vietnam also are under tension. The Strait of Hormuz is exactly northwest to Ujjain from India, and that is where most of the tensions have been concentrated upon. Afghanistan is under major tension, which it will increase in the next few months, exactly from 4th November to end of April, end of March and end of April. So Iran will be badly affected. North Korea is going to be badly affected. And in the same way, we have China, USA, UK, India, Pakistan, Israel, and South America, and Saudi Arabia, countries to the north, and rich countries, countries rich with oil, countries rich with money. These are the countries that are going to be severely affected by this war. And even economically, if we see it, the war would cost trillions of money, and that would surely debilitate the world's economy and destroy countless lives, which is very, very sad. Or the year name is Vikari. Vikari means the troubled, the diseased, and the maleficently changed. And this is why I believe strongly that this year is surely going to be really troublesome for the whole world according to astrology. And Rahu and Ketu, both of them are revolving around an axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. And it's so unfortunate that the Varshadhipati is also stuck around the same axis. And the same axis is transited by many planets together, forming various different negative connections that has completely brought out this dangerous combination. And what we see today is a product of it.